back.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Kooks, Cranks, and Iconoclast podcast. I'm Mike.
I'm Matt.
And I'm J-Lo.
And today we're talking about a lady by the name of Linda Moulton Howe. Yep, she's quite a looker for her age.
She always was a looker.
She was, yeah. She was,
And is. I mean, for an 81-year-old woman, she's very beautiful.
Yeah, she's parlayed. Well, we'll get into that.
We like her more for her mind.
Yes, exactly.
This is true.
Her reputation is rock solid. She comes from a journalistic background. She's done a lot for the ufology community. And she's actually one of the first people who introduced the world to the phenomena of cattle mutilation, which we're also going to be getting into today. Real quick, Matt, you had some notes real quick?
Yeah. Starting here at this very moment in time, you can buy us a coffee. Not a real coffee, but from the app.
We'll take real coffee.
Yeah, we'll take that too. But yeah, you can donate as little or as much as you like. And there's going to be a link there, I believe. Is that correct, J-Lo?
Yes.
And then we will be extremely grateful. And we can talk about it later.
We can have new special effects. We can have all kinds of good stuff for y'all.
Yeah. This will improve the show.
Better voice impersonations.
Yeah.
All kinds of radio magic.
They can't all sound like Tony Clifton, right?
Right.
Anyways, it helps us. It helps you. Everyone wins. And it's as little as 99 cents for a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All ships, rising tides, etc.
But any hoozle.
Yeah, kick us off with some bio material there.
All right.
not biographical material, not biological material.
Anyways, Linda Moulton Howe, born January 20th, 1942 in Boise, Idaho. Man, there was
Boise.
Not a whole lot going on out there in the 40s.
Taters.
That's about it. What's new in potatoes? I don't know. But things didn't really start popping off until 1963, when she won a Miss Boise, Idaho pageant. Top prize, a scholarship.
Oh, Boise.
Yeah. 1965, she used that scholarship to attend the University of Colorado with got a BA in English Lit, and also was awarded cum laude, which is high praise.
Yeah, it's not anything like it sounds.
With distinguished honors, because she's so busy and she wants to keep working and improving herself. 1968, graduated from Stanford University with an MA in communications.
You go, girl.
Yeah, man, I respect the hell.
She's really a person who pulls herself up by the bootstraps.
Man, she worked her ass off. That's what I really respect what she had to do here. But anyways, while attending Stanford University, she filmed a documentary for the Stanford Medical Center and would remain in use at the university for the next 19 years.
The documentary would remain in use there?
Yeah.
Huh.
Wow.
Do you know what it was on?
It was for the actual medical facility and the way it works, and
okay.
Maybe a bit of a propaganda tool for the school.
Kind of like your first day at Burger King video kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or like in the music hall, wherever they kept that soda machine that never works so that they can make all these poor musicians crazy so that one of them would be good so they can say, hey, we produced that musician.
Are you talking about Richland?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Our old alma mater. Anyways, shortly after graduating, she found a career in journalism, which she excelled at. From 1978 to 1983, her primary focus was on environmental issues, working as a field reporter in Los Angeles, Boston, and Denver, respectively.
Wow.
Yeah, man, she got
a lot of ground.
Yeah. Some of the most famous pieces she produced were Fire in the Water, a piece about using the hydrogen and water molecules as an alternative fuel source to fossil fuels, which, if you guys have ever watched The Internerd, there's a guy who did the same thing, kind of, and made he used salt water and microwaves to create a flame.
If I'm not mistaken, he's dead.
I think so.
Yeah, under mysterious circumstances?
Yeah.
Well, I'll never tell.
Speculation.
Yeah.
Strike from the record.
The next pretty sweet piece she did, this is what impressed me. Quote, A radioactive water. It's the expose was on finding uranium in the Denver suburbs drinking water.
Holy crap.
And it won her an institutional Peabody Award. So stuff like that, man. Like she's finding stuff, you know, like the first person to find out, hey, the water in Detroit's on fire.
So she's like Aaron Brockovich meets Baba Waba or Connie Chung.
Aaron Brockovich copied her, all right?
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying. And in 1980, she produced a documentary entitled A Strange Harvest, and it covered the...
there we go.
Yep, it covered cattle mutilation on a Colorado ranch. This was the first time it had ever been covered, and it got any kind of notoriety, right? So,
what year was this?
1980.
Okay.
She was the first to cover the phenomenon and gain national attention for it. The documentary posited the theory that extraterrestrial life had been responsible for cattle found with large portions of their jaws, eyes, sexual organs removed.
If I may interject real quick.
Yeah.
It's strange that it's called cattle mutilation, because I feel like the word mutilation is a bit of a loaded word. Like it sounds like, you know,
like it's charged,
like it's splattered everywhere.
Yeah, like haphazard. Whereas I would say these are more like cattle vivisections due to the surgical precision that usually keeps showing up.
We'll see. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
It's posited that this was done for survival/research, that the government was somehow complicit in these cases, right? Like there's something that they're denying or not denying, but they're culpable.
Obfuscating.
In some instances, the anus had been removed at the colon.
Oh, man.
To be fair, we cannot rule out Oscar Mayer.
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to say the hot dog companies.
That guy's running around all crazy.
But yeah, man, that sucks. You kind of need the colon and the anus.
What made this more complex an issue is that there was a lack of blood at the scene or any evidence of footprints or tracks or anything.
Predation by animals.
Wow. No tracks. Okay, nothing.
Yeah. So there's no tire tracks, footprints, animal tracks anywhere near the site of these mutilations.
They're often said to actually also have a chemical smell or sometimes a quote unquote medicinal smell, according to some people who've found these remains.
Were these remains ever found within a crop circle?
That I do not know.
Good question. To my knowledge, have never heard of that. I feel like that would be kind of a 2-for-1 that people would latch onto pretty quickly if that had occurred.
That was a charged question because typically the crop circles are at least conveyed to me as positive messages, whereas these cow mutilations are not a real positive message. So that's why I'm wanting to see if there's a distinct. It's the word I'm looking for.
Distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say the mutilations are definitely quite ominous. Whereas, yes, most crop circle phenomena has usually yielded a more positive message. So yeah, this might be different factions if we were to speculate once again.
So as far as looking at this as an investigator, right? Let's think about this as if it's a terrestrial issue. Okay, there is no motive, right?
Right.
I mean,
because they left them there.
I think we're all pro cow here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like cows.
Yeah, I like the way they taste.
Yeah, me too. Is there a murder weapon?
No.
None that we're aware of, right?
No.
They've never left a murder weapon behind. And then opportunity. They clearly had an opportunity to do something, but there's no evidence of that opportunity being left behind, for the exception of surgical precise cuts on these, and the residue left behind shows cases of high magnesium and what is that bithium?
Adamantium.
I wish. That'd be fucking awesome.
I know there's also been
bithium.
What was it? Sorry?
Bithium.
Bithium, okay. And I know there's also been many instances of what looks to be cauterization of the wounds, suggesting that maybe these were done with some kind of laser implement. And this is obviously before, as far as we know, the implementation of lasers into modern medical practice.
Yeah, like a gamma knife.
Yeah,
Were these carcasses bled out?
Yes, in most cases.
Well, there was no blood.
Yeah, they're just completely lacking blood.
See,
like
and that's
inside of the carcass, there was zero blood.
Yeah, they're usually drained.
Oh wow!
see, and that would be another thing to look into is after rigor mortis sets in and all that, all your blood congeals and falls to the lowest point of gravity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't think it's every instance. I do believe there have been instances of blood pooling in some, but usually, yes, the blood is entirely missing from the body, which also in itself suggests like a matter of time in opportunity. Because, like, think about, especially with surgical precision, like how long is it taking to do this?
And then on top of that, with no track, see now we have the conundrum.
Not only that,
because
but beef is like a commodity, man. I mean, you can make a lot of money on a cow.
Yeah, that's why these people are so pissed off about it. The farmers, the ranchers.
Right. I mean,
it's just killing to kill.
I'm going back with the terrestrial look here where somebody with this kind of motive is obviously performing under illegal auspices.
Yes.
And typically when they're doing this, they're going to want to make as much money as they can, especially if they're risking going to prison. So why not take these cows and turn them into meat and put them on the black market or something like that?
Unless you're just trying to scare the shit out of people, which was, dropped a banner, mission accomplished. You scared the shit out of people.
But that also proves that profit is not a motive here.
Yeah. Even if you look at there's some of these cases, they say that helicopters typically tend to show up around the area.
Yeah, black helicopters.
Around the same time.
Helicopters.
Yeah.
But even if they... Oh, you're not insinuating that the helicopters did this, though.
Well, some people would posit the idea.
They would blow around the grass and stuff.
Yeah, but that's hard. I don't think that's really traceable. When you get into the whole black helicopter side of this thing, you're getting into some even weirder territory because some people have posited that these quote unquote black helicopters are actually like organic beings, like large insects and stuff like that. So you're getting into a whole nother...
That is not terrifying at all.
Yeah, that's a whole other theoretical realm that maybe we'll touch on again.
So, A Strange Harvest received a regional Emmy Award for audio achievement because of, it's a lot of cool stuff in that. Man, look it up. It's fucking sweet. We don't have that here because we don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
1981, Howe became an advocate for government transparency in regards to alien life and more commonly referred to as extraterrestrial biological life or entity.
Oh, disclosure, basically.
Yeah, and this is right around the time FOIA is starting, like the early 90s. All this new means and measures to gain information.
An intense distrust of the federal government.
Yes. But she spent an ever-increasing amount of time on these alleged connections between the cattle mutilations, extraterrestrials, and the capability of the United States government.
Both.
Yeah.
Capability and culpability.
Yeah. She sounds like a really intelligent lady who's using her journalistic experience and knowledge and skills to piece together a bunch of information that has clearly been hidden. If
you're just the layman like me and you're coming to learn all of this, her job as a journalist, right, is to bring this information to the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
She's not a scientist, but she does know scientists, and she did send out samples that she gathered from these sites to be investigated. Multiple labs to be empiricism, right? You gotta have multiple scientists come up with the same results in order for this to show that, yes, this is correct.
And she did this.
Yes. She sent them out to several labs.
There you go, girl.
Yeah, see?
Second opinion.
Yeah.
It's always good
Third
to get
opinion,
one.
even.
Yeah.
So according to, just to show the value that she gave to the UFO culture and the people that were actually researching this phenomenon.
The community.
Yes, the community, as we'll refer to them. According to the former MUFON director of Idaho, she, quote, is the most preeminent UFO investigator in the world. And after her success in the research into the cattle mutilation, she began to investigate other more peculiar phenomena, including crop circles, UFO sightings, and of course, everyone's favorite, alien abductions.
Ooh.
She has also served on an investigationary board to look into the claims of Admiral Byrd and all the things that went on down there in Antarctica.
Yes. Yeah, she's big into Antarctic mysteries, etc. That's another one of her passion projects that's still ongoing.
Yes. And her work also spawned a favorite TV show of ours, little ditty from the 90s called Sighting. There was a 2-hour documentary that she made that Fox was so enthralled with. They said, man, you know what?
We got to have it.
We got to have a show.
I forgot about Sightings. I love that
dude.
show.
Yeah.
Used to watch it every morning before school.
Yeah.
They had that deer in Vietnam that had gills because it had been exposed to Agent Orange.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, crazy,
Yeah.
right?
Or there was the one with the ghost that would like scratch people on screen. Like you could see the scratches forming on people's body, like right in front of the camera.
This was first broadcast in October of 1991, furthering this UFO culture and helping to support, because there was a lot of legitimate stuff on that show.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at YouTube all day and there's like, that's not a ghost. That's just some guy.
Yeah, but even so, we have YouTube and we have anybody who can just put up a video now. And we just didn't have that in the 90s.
Plus with the advent of like deep fakes and AI generated imagery, I mean,
like I saw the interview with Bob Lazar in the 80s, and I remember thinking, oh my God, as a little kid, this could be real, and they were totally playing off like it wasn't, like he was just some quack. And now then you have Sightings come along just a couple of years later, and then that momentum has continued to build to this day.
Yeah.
So I could see where she had.
It's becoming, I wouldn't say necessarily socially acceptable, but more accepted, definitely.
It's definitely out in the forefront more so now than it was in, say, like the early 80s or 90s.
Almost to a suspicious degree today. Yeah. That's just me, though. That's my own.
She was also a frequent guest on Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell.
Yeah.
She did a monthly show for 28 years until 2019, right before the pandy started. And, you're working an 18-hour day, something's got to give.
Yeah.
She
married?
She was briefly, I believe. That's where she got the Howe from. But she's single.
This is actually the first person we've covered who's still alive, too.
Yeah, that's the we were going to save it till the end, but yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
No worries.
No spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, this woman is a credible source for all of this research, man. I mean, like, it's not necessarily that she's a scientist, it's that she did the work that you're supposed to do. You send this off to be looked at, and you have to put these pieces together. Not that you're trying to form the narrative, you're just trying to make sure that you have the correct, true facts.
I think you were about to point out maybe with the 18-hour work days, she did get a little wooey-woo, like ridiculously so to a point, but she's kind of she's corrected the ship.
What do you mean wooey-woo?
Like just really out there. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to discount anyone's, beliefs in anything, but like, to the point of like crystals and just very Southern California, New Mexico area, Sedonia, old lady, you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Yeah, that kind of person.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that crystals per se should be discounted in the use of technology.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean,
well, they have crystal radios that operate solely on a crystal and a wire.
Yeah, certain, minerals, vibrate at certain frequencies. I mean, there's something to some of this stuff, but, just there's a type of person. You know what I'm talking about?
It's easy for what she's saying to get caught up by that type of person, and then that what she's trying to prove kind of gets stuck into that stigma.
Sort of, yeah. Like, I mean, I'm a little more skeptical, but only because, like Agent Mulder, I want to believe, and I require not extraordinary evidence, but like, for example, she talked to a woman who claims to be a half-breed alien, and that's something I can't really accept at face value.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: the three of us sitting here, the only way we can verify that is if we go do some kind of investigation ourselves. And
I would need to see her 23andMe.
Yeah, right. I mean, you'd have to have a lot of extra stuff there, and then maybe you can hand me X-ray film all day of like, oh, I got this implant. I mean, until I can reach in there and grab it out myself and then have it investigated, like I'd have to hover over a lot of doctors.
To quote famous skeptic and bit of a dickhead James Randi, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And while I don't necessarily agree with the amazing Randy's methods, etc. I do to a degree. I mean, the bigger the claim, I mean, you got to have something to back it up.
And you're right, Mike. She's not without her detractors. I mean, man, even like Skeptic Magazine has written a couple of pieces on her.
But one of the things I like about her so much is when she's giving interviews, she's very
understanding and accepting, and
she's not mean, but she's not necessarily nice. You don't know if she believes them or not. She's just asking them questions.
There was some guy, I forget his name, the guy from the Theory of Everything podcast. I watched that streamed video or whatever. Mm-hmm. And man, there was a couple of moments in there that got a little tense. I'm not sure if it's just like the cadence that threw everyone off or if it's just the questioning. But I was like, oh man, I'm cringing. I'm like, oh my God, this is not going to be good.
Yeah, but she's definitely, I mean, she's, like I said, she was woo-woo for a bit, but I think she realized, what was occurring or how she was being perceived and sort of corrected ship and, got back to her roots of journalistic integrity, examination, etc.
There's such a large nebulous collection of facts and information and dates and
there's more of it every day.
Yeah, and like I noticed
and a fact isn't necessarily
correct.
True, or correct.
See, and I noticed in that interview, they were talking about a lot of paperwork. There's the DD 214 and all his requests for information and Freedom of Information Act and all this. There's so many things and dates, and you have to get the precise amount of these chemicals or these compounds.
Yeah,
and
dude, listening to David Paulides, the guy who does Missing 411. Just the process of dealing with FOIA requests alone sounds like a total pain in the ass.
Oh, I'm sure. And then there's no guarantee that you're going to get any information that you need anyways.
Yeah, or the correct, truthful, honest information.
Yeah. I mean, if there's already a level of distrust with the federal government in the 90s and, this is early 90s before.
And if they're the number one, disinformation clearinghouse, so.
I mean, they probably created cloud ops. Right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. It's, no, that's swamp gas.
Yeah.
You're
a moron. It's swamp gas.
Yeah.
That's how it works. No, that's planet Venus, even though it's completely astronomically incorrect that Venus could be where you thought you saw it.
It's the daytime. No, but all these cattle mutilations, there was one in Texas. I forget, what is it? Madisonville? There's they found 6 mutilated just not that long ago. Today is June 10th while we're recording this.
Yeah.
Less than a month ago, there's 6 cattle mutilated. And I don't want to call ourselves naturalists or anything, but me and Mike would go out hunting in West Texas every now and again. And every now and again, you come across an animal that's been murdered to death. Mm-hmm. And,
Mother Nature working its course.
Yeah, man, like the vultures have picked away at it a little bit or a coyote or something, And
which they don't do to mutilated cattle.
In this instance. But the things they go after, right, is the easy flesh to get to. Ears, eyeballs.
Anus,
genitalia. And
genitalia?
Anything that's really easy to rip off because coyotes...
Coyotes, horrible to think about it that way.
Yeah. Well,
they do.
Yeah.
And because coyotes, they work in groups, right? They're gonna tear shit apart. That's And once one knows where it is, they all know where it is, and then
they all start working at it.
Yeah. Man, we left a rabbit as bait one time, and we didn't see anything. We came back the next morning, and that rabbit was all over the field, like rabbit hair just everywhere, like
tufts of hair. That's it.
It was like I'd say it was like a 10 yard by 10 yard square area of rabbit thrown everywhere.
Ravaged rabbit.
Yeah. And just to appease everyone, that rabbit tried to kill our father. Yeah. All right. So
it was the same one from Monty Python.
He was talking mad shit.
We can't confirm nor deny where its whereabouts were in the 80s when that movie came out. But there is a natural aspect to this. I don't want to say it's anything supernatural per se, but the other parts to the story that make it weird, right? That no other scavenger is going to come around and fuck with it.
This is the perfect example of a void of data allows speculation to fill in.
Yeah, or contradictory data.
Yeah.
Because it's A plus B doesn't always equal C in this instance.
And when you have, the weird factors that are always present in most of these cases, almost always present in most of these cases. I mean, so much of it, if you're trying to build the crime scene, quote unquote, in your head, it just doesn't add up.
Here's a factor for the skeptics. When we're dealing with something that's literally alien to our minds and to our bodies, we have no idea what kind of technology, what kind of phenomena is out there doing what.
Yeah.
So how can we use that compared to what we only know so far as to disprove? In other words, we're saying, well, I don't know this, therefore it doesn't exist.
I'm about to make a nerdy ass quote from Shakespeare, but there is more in heaven and earth that is dreamt of in your philosophies, Horatio, I believe the quote goes. But yeah, that's exactly it, man. There's what we don't know would fill warehouse after warehouse.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
See, here's what's fucked up. Sorry. I know I'm not supposed to swear, but Mike just told me about this in pre-production and pre-show, and it gets worse.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just cattle mutilations that are occurring. It's happening to people as well. I will say that it is not as frequent as cattle mutilation, but aliens have been hurting or murdering and beyond human beings for quite some time, especially in Brazil. Read Jacques Vallée's Confrontations. My goodness. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get into human mutilations.
The shit's about to hit the fan.
And we're back. And I just want to give warning before we hop into this next topic. Some of this will be very graphic. So if you're uncomfortable with this kind of thing, you might want to skip to later.
We'll play some upbeat music later to.
We'll cleanse the palate.
Yeah.
But I've got 3 scenarios here. I'm going to read them in order of what we know, basically, the details involved. First up, July 2016. Mike Mansholt, a 17-year-old, is vacationing in Malta. After failing to meet his father for a flight back to their native Germany, a manhunt is soon underway to locate Mike. 8 days later, his body would be found below the Dingley Cliffs, Malta's highest point at 250 meters or 820 feet. Officials would tell his father, Bernd Mansholt, that he died from a broken back twice over. Though when he looked at his son's body as it was being stuffed into a body bag, he noticed black holes in both his neck and the left side of his face. It is later told by a morgue attendant that there are no fractures. The cause of death is never determined, and his body is sent home to Germany. There, another autopsy would confirm that there were no broken bones in his body, and it was also missing a heart, brain, lungs, liver, pancreas, adrenal glands, right kidney, bladder, stomach, and small intestine.
Was his body still closed up?
I doubt. I'm sure they closed it after the first autopsy, but second one going in, I don't know. See, this one, it's very sketchy. This could be government involvement, but who knows? This is a still ongoing case, more or less. After his family asked the Maltese officials about his organs, they claimed they'd been eaten by rodents and that his brain had liquefied, though there was absolutely no evidence of this, and German authorities also could not conclude any cause of death. Next up, White Sands Missile Range, New Mexico, March of 1956. 2 soldiers are searching for missile remnants. A Sergeant Jonathan P. Lovett and his immediate superior, a Major William Cunningham, are out in the missile fields searching for debris when all of a sudden Major Cunningham looks over to see several feet away that, Sergeant Lovett is being grabbed and pulled into the air by some kind of prehensile cable into a ship. He finds his body later horrifically mutilated, 3 days later and 10 miles from where he was last seen. Major William Cunningham, who'd witnessed Lovett's abduction and was afterwards subjected to numerous psych evaluations and debriefings, was at first blamed for the mutilation. Base radar, however, had picked up an unknown bogey over the base that night. Some thought Cunningham had hurt Lovett, and though the location of the body was too far away for him to have had time to move it before he radioed for help, medical examiners determined the body had been exposed to the elements for 1 to 2 days, meaning for up to 48 hours, the exact location of Lovett's body remains unknown. Not only was this body found naked, but it had also suffered gruesome mutilation / vivisections. His body, upon closer examination, would prove to be missing his tongue, eyes, anus, genitalia, and numerous organs, all neatly extracted as if by surgical procedure. Not only that, but his body was also entirely drained of blood, yet with his vascular system intact. Various dumb theories repeatedly attempted to continuously blame Major Cunningham, and not one of them held up to scrutiny, really. There have also been several instances of missing 411 victims found in somewhat similar, albeit far less gruesome circumstances, so this also lends to the UFO theory. And finally, this is the biggie. This is what's known as the Guadaparinga Reservoir mutilation in Brazil. September 29, 1988, the mutilated remains of an unidentified man are found by the Billings Reservoir in Sao Paulo, Brazil. A young boy stumbled across the corpse while walking along the reservoir, then spotting a massive flock of vultures gathered around what he at first assumed to be an animal carcass. Upon closer inspection, after having dispersed the many carrion birds, he realized that these were in fact human remains and quickly ran to the nearest village to report his find. Police from the Santo Amaro Police Department soon arrived on scene and were quickly followed by numerous forensic and medical personnel. None of this would be reported in the news and would have never been made public until 6 years later in 1994, when the coroner's report, along with extremely graphic photographs, which will be on our website, were somehow leaked to various news outlets over a period of several weeks. The details as to the condition of the body were gruesome and had many questions whether or not a human being was capable of doing this to another person, let alone if it was even possible. According to the autopsy report, the eyes were extracted and the eyelids cut away. The tongue was removed, left ear sliced off. The lips and flesh around the lower jaw and neck had been excised, while a large portion of the lower jawbone was also missing. The armpits each bore puncture holes roughly 1.5 inches in diameter. Similar holes were also found in the legs and arms, where there were also quite a significant amount of missing flesh and muscle tissue. All the wounds were found to be completely uniform in both size and method in which they'd been inflicted. In instances where there were wounds on both sides of the body, such as the armpits, etc., upon closer inspection were found to be perfectly symmetrically aligned, as if this was done with some degree of machine-like precision. All of the internal organs were missing: liver, kidneys, stomach, small and large intestines, pancreas, all been removed, causing the chest and stomach to have shrunk and caved in as a result. Even stranger, there was no incision into the abdomen, save for a small hole in the navel, similar to the others found elsewhere upon the body, which led the coroner to conclude that the organs and muscle tissues had been sucked out by these orifices, or orify if you prefer. The victim's rectum had been cored out, and the colon was missing as well. He'd also been castrated, along with his entire body having been drained of blood, and yet once again with his circulatory system seemingly left intact. All of these incisions and extractions and cuts had been done with surgical precision, not a mutilation, a vivisection. None of these wounds showed any signs of bleeding either, because they'd been done post-exsanguination or because they'd all been cauterized. There were no signs of rigor mortis despite the time of death having been at least 24 hours earlier, nor did it emit any stench of putrefaction, which is very strange. Although the body had also been found surrounded by vultures, there were no signs indicating they'd fed upon any of the remains. Perhaps most disturbing of all, yes, more than all that, was the toxicology report showed no sign of anesthesia nor any paralytic agent, meaning that this was very likely done to this poor unidentified John Doe whilst he was alive and entirely conscious, yes.
Jesus Christ.
One can only hope he went into complete and total physiological shock sooner rather than later. The body showed no signs of any kinds of restraint, and due to the surgical precision of the cuts, it is presumed he was either paralyzed or held entirely still by some other unknown means. In fact, while there was no discernible tampering with the skull, there were, however, signs of cerebral edema without any accompanying trauma, indicative of what was likely an agonizing death. The autopsy listed the cause of death as follows: acute hemorrhage in multiple traumatisms. There is a component of causa mortis, or cause of death, by vagus stimulation, meaning death via heart attack brought on by extreme pain. He'd not been dead long enough for natural decomposition to set in, nor for animal predation to explain the state in which his body was found. Bite marks of carrion birds, nothing like that at all, even though he'd been surrounded by vultures. No predation whatsoever. All incisions were of an unnatural, possibly man-made origin, despite the overwhelming evidence of some kind of foul play having occurred. Investigators quickly closed the case, dismissing it as an unfortunate tragedy, stating he likely died of natural causes attributed to his condition and lifestyle. As his family would later verify, he'd been an epileptic and an alcoholic. I don't see what that has anything to do with it.
Yeah.
It's due to this that the incident isn't more widely known outside of the U.S., and there has been speculation that the authorities have tried to cover up his death. The mere fact that it would be revealed to the press 6 years later via an internal leak corroborates this. But why, if it was deemed to be of natural causes? So obviously, there is something funky afoot. This kind of leads me into another aspect I thought about that sort of, I don't know, let's call it cross circuit of consciousness. I had two synapses kind of overlap, thinking about all this cattle mutilation and human abductions and human mutilations. Thinking about how, the Hindus consider cows sacred. There's something there, I don't know what. But also, all throughout, religion and mythology going way, way back, cows and bulls were usually the preferred, offering to the gods. So this sort of plays into the whole alien archons, concept. It's very strange to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, even from India to Spain, and the Greeks even had, Zeus was a bull, right?
Yeah.
And then I guess in some weird way, the bull fights are, and some kind of ritualistic.
That's very ritualistic, yes.
Yeah, poor bull, but at least, they cook them and eat them.
Yeah.
Instead of just leaving them there.
I'm noticing with each of these incidences where the body parts were extracted, whoever the entities were that did this, only took sections that, like, if it wasn't duplicated in the body, they would take it. But if it was duplicated, they would only take one. Like, they took one kidney. They took a quarter of the jawbone because they only needed that much.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. That's pretty interesting, actually.
So what the heck? They're clearly trying to see about these organs, and maybe they knew he was an alcoholic and were trying to see what that alcohol had done to his organs.
Maybe. There is talk that, aliens don't normally abduct people with very psychiatric conditions, etc., that they're usually looking for, specimens, quote unquote.
Like healthy specimens?
Yeah, basically. I don't know if there's any credence to that. Like, it shows up in some of the ufology
That sounds
literature.
like a myth they spread.
Possibly. I don't know.
Possible.
Yeah.
But either way, there's definitely foul afoot, whether it's the government or if it's aliens. It's clearly one of the two.
Yeah,
dude,
there's
if
something
that
going
guy's
on.
death is a natural death, then we're all very, very screwed. Yeah, dude.
It sounds pretty damn unnatural. But
Yeah.
How about all your organs just fall out?
yeah, just when you think about abduction as well, and like the whole, let's say, surgical aspect of it, the whole experimental aspect of it, there appears in a lot of shamanistic literature sort of this reoccurring archetypal theme of the body being, for lack of a better word, dissected and put back together with some kind of stone or added implement, which sounds exactly like, implantation of microchips or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. There's also a Tibetan Buddhist ritual. It's a meditative ritual. It's called Chode. That's how it's spelled. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. I didn't name it.
Chode.
Yeah, Chod, which is the meditative state of basically giving your body up to be feasted upon by ghouls, demons, etc., which also sounds very much like, these mutilation situations. So I don't know, there is like a weird mythical, religious, spiritual precedent set back in the day for these kind of things. So there's connections there, and I'm not quite sure what they mean. Just, take it for what you will.
I wonder if in a situation like this, we don't really need to speculate. Maybe it is exactly what it looks like.
Possibly. The idea that these situations present themselves in myth, spirituality and religion, etc., various cultures, the first place my mind goes is to a scary, scary place.
Me too.
Like, just the fact that, well, not the fact, but the speculation that, this sort of thing could have been occurring all the way back into our prehistory. Who knows? But the even bigger question really is why? What for? Who? As well. I mean, really, it hits all the boxes. It ticks them all off, but...
And sometimes why?
Yeah. Why is a big one, and who is this even scarier? I don't know.
And the boxes are not the only thing that are ticked off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so outside of the hot dog companies, I mean, I don't know. That's our only potential suspect so far.
I don't think hot dog companies are that careful.
Nor are they that well equipped.
No laser surgery on their parts, I hope.
In the 1980s.
But yeah, like I said, we'll have photographs of this on the website. I do warn you again, they're extremely graphic. But this occurring in Brazil, once again, is also strange because outside of murder committed by whoever, there are many, 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 many cases of just UFO contact, like contact with a ship, even, rudimentary contact, like being near it. Jacques Vallée talks in Confrontations about one incident where a man is bathed with a yellowish light by one of these crafts, goes home, starts feeling feverish and sick, and then not even within days, his skin starts to it's basically the equivalent of extreme radiation dosage. Like his skin starts to slough off, liquidate.
It's a gamma ray.
Yeah, like you've never heard the word slough so many times. There's another famous incident known as the Falcon Lake incident, which has a sort of fairly famous picture related to it in ufology of a man that looks like he has a burn from like an engine grill across his chest. There are pictures of women from Brazil who have, burns, what look like stab wounds, etc., that they claim have been perpetrated by rafts, etc. So yeah, I don't know what it is about Brazil specifically. The Nazis went there, so maybe that's got something. I don't know, but
I mean, what are these time traveling Nazis just trying to mess with us, or are these like aliens that are really not that much more advanced and maybe not spiritually more advanced, maybe even less spiritually advanced than we are?
Well, I mean, you have the whole, the idea of the gray aliens specifically being, biomechanical machines that are in service to some other higher race. Some people say reptilians, some people say the Nordics. That whole Nordics idea lends into the whole time traveling Nazi UFOs idea, which is also terrifying.
It's the boys from Brazil.
Yeah.
Always getting into something.
The Brazil boys got themselves a bit of molasses. I know the whole idea that like the gray aliens are machines in service to I hesitate to say higher life form, but they're taking orders from someone. That shows up in a lot of ufology literature as well. people have claimed to see what they call tall whites, which the definitions vary on that. It's not just the three of us. No, like some people say that the quote unquote tall whites are basically, they look like grays, but they're much taller, like 10 feet tall. Whereas other people say the tall whites are, once again, these Nordic people, or Nordic beings, I should say, with the platinum blonde hair and the blue eyes and looking very much like Senor Hitler's, wet dream, basically. The weird interconnectedness of the data that is present in much of this. This goes back to our Lovecraft episode, just the whole idea of the vistas of each science reaching outwards in their own directions, and our mind's ability not to correlate all the data and evidence in our minds.
And will converge.
Yeah, but when it does, it points to very disturbing possibilities. I also propose that this human mutilation and cattle mutilation might as well be thrown into it as well. I would call this CE6. I don't know if everyone out there is familiar with the CE classifications for alien interaction. CE1, I believe, is seeing a ship. CE2 is...
CE is for close encounters.
Yes, close encounter, yes. CE2, I believe, is like finding the remnants of a ship having touched down, like radiation coming off of a field, or what looks like tripods stuck into the ground where a ship may have landed, weird mineral deposits, etc. CE3 is the movie where, multiple people see a ship or craft or whatever you would call it. CE4 is abduction. CE5 is classified as, the best way I can put it is humans summoning these crafts, which that's the whole like Stephen Greer hippy dippy. I don't know what's going on there. And then CE6 is what we're talking about. The scary shit, these remnants of, once again, vivisection. I know it's been called mutilation forever, but that just it strikes me as a loaded word that we got to call it what it is. This is surgical precision and cauterized wounds. That, yes, like you mentioned earlier, gamma knife. It's very reminiscent of that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's it might as well be.
Are you guys upset about that? We were just doing that for a goof. Fuck, we're sorry. My bad.
Wanted to see if we could take them apart with the lightsaber.
Get your lightsaber, Captain Kirk.
Sorry. That's how all aliens talk.
Yeah.
Meet Zorp. But yeah, it's just it's frightening.
It's pretty terrifying to think that at any moment you could just
like, this is why I can't
sleep at night.
Basically, like if I read too many UFO books and I think about it too hard, as I tend to do a lot of things, I'm not sleeping for a while.
Then you're gonna CE5 the bad ones, Mike. Don't do that.
That's what they say. Yeah. Like the whole idea of like inadvertent summonings and things like that. It's the whole talk of in jinn folklore from the Middle East. If you talk about or think about the jinn more often than not, then they're getting closer to you, etc. Don't play this episode more than 3 times in a row. No, play it as many times as you want.
The thing that trips me out is, man, is like, so if you're trying to connect the dots, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of data. There's a lot of information. A lot of incidences. If you're looking for it, you can connect any dot you want to anything.
Yeah. But if you
yeah, I mean,
if creative enough, yeah.
Yeah, if you're trying to find the links, whether or not it'll hold water is the issue. But man, I mean, if you're already ready to believe, you think about this stuff all the time, or it just keeps coming up around you.
Obsession.
I'm just gonna say, I think one has to be pretty dang obstinate to not be raising eyebrows at cattle and human mutilation in the method in which they were done.
I mean, there is a bovine anus thief out there that has been committing heinous...
Making bovine Frankensteins.
And there's lots of gaslighting that goes on. Oh, we always default to aliens. But it's like, okay, where did it come from?
That's, and I'm surprised Matt didn't mention this earlier, but in many instances with cattle mutilation, usually the first people that get blamed are Satanists for some reason. Like Satanists.
Where the hell are they getting time to be like satanic masters and like the best surgical experts in the world.
Every Satanist I can think of off the top of my head doesn't do much. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
They play video games and, despite their best efforts, eat Chick-fil-A.
In a county of 2,000 people, right?
Yeah.
There's more cattle than people in the fucking county. And, there's like a whole 2,700.
And although there is a precedent for, people of higher social strata, like doctors, lawyers, etc., being Luciferians or whatever you want to call it, I don't think that anyone with access to the technology capable of doing the kind of things we're talking about is going out to, Light My Fart, Arkansas, or wherever, and doing these, committing these acts. Sorry, Arkansas.
More importantly, sorry, Light My Fart, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Lovely town.
But it is factual that many people light their farts in Arkansas. I can prove this. I mean, I'm speculating here, but I can find
Connections. You can put the dots together.
Yes.
Yes. Speckled dots.
No more than anywhere else in the world, I'm sure.
I think that there's no way for anyone to get on the ground super quick to investigate the stuff. And MUFON goes out there, which is awesome. Good.
Yeah, they kick
Good job.
Rocks around and do whatever they do.
Yeah. And I want the premier biologist, a really good fish and wildlife guy or gal out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they can look and they're like, there's your problem. They're missing an anus. I know it killed him.
The ding dong's gone.
Yeah. I know it killed him.
Ain't got no ding dong. Yeah, and the other disturbing part about this we briefly touched on is the amount of time that it would take to utilize such precision to do these things that they're doing, and nobody sees anything. Maybe
the herd is not disturbed.
Oh, they are.
They are.
I was going to say there are instances where people have seen ships, flying over, or craft, or whatever you call it, UAP, hovering over the cattle or whatever, but they leave, or disappear from the witness's observation, and then they come back later and there's, mutilated remains.
There is one silver lining here. I know this is
We need one.
Yeah. We actually got one really cool thing out of the whole bovine anus thieving. Earthworm Jim. Do you guys remember Earthworm Jim?
Yes, but I don't remember
See the correlation.
Yeah.
That was in the background of the storyline all the time. Cows were getting abducted left and right.
The suit.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And there was that one episode. I know I'm going way off. There's that one episode where he had his anti-earthworm Jim. And he's like, everything you hate, I love.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, so you like to drink orange juice after you brush your teeth? Well,
Ooh, I hate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no, not that, but I mean everything else pretty much.
Voiced by Dan Castellaneta, the man who does the voice of Homer Simpson. You know what else is a good thing that we got out of cow mutilation? The career of Linda Moulton Howe.
Yeah.
That's
And
true.
Bring it back around.
Way to go full circle.
Yeah. That's how we do it here sometimes.
Thanks, Linda Moulton Howe.
Yeah.
You have brought.
Yeah. And seeing as she's, at least for the foreseeable future, the only still living person that we've covered thus far, I say, you go, girl. Keep it up. Keep doing what you're doing.
Countdown to disclosure.
Yeah. I mean, I have my own suspicions about that, but that's a whole other episode. But yeah, this has been our Linda Moulton Howe episode. I think we've got some closing notes here, real quick.
Please donate. We would love to give you this show. We love to work on the show. We spend a great deal of time and our own money doing this show.
Oh, yeah.
And we can make it better for you and bring you all kinds of great stuff if you don't mind donating to us.
We perform better with food in our bellies.
We do, usually.
As low as you like.
There is a link in every show note where you can donate. We are working on a Buy Me a Coffee app as well as the Ko-Fi app where you can donate, I think, one time, and that'll be on our website as well.
If you'd like to support us, we'd be ever so grateful.
Yes,
So grateful.
please.
Perhaps we can think of some gifts for these contributors.
Yeah, some personalized material, maybe
Or some magnets.
some horoscopes, maybe.
Some swag.
Some individualized songs, perhaps.
Yeah, stingers, buddy. Facebook.com/Kooks, Cranks, and Iconoclasts. That's how you can get a hold of us on the FBs. Our website has changed name, but it's not that outrageous. It's going to be Casey and the whole word and.
That's our Gmail.
Gmail, sorry. KCandIcast@gmail. And our website is still the same. Kooks-Cranks-and-Iconoclast.com. It's recently been updated. We're trying to keep it as entertaining as possible. And once again, I will reiterate, under our Linda Moulton Howe episode, there will be some graphic photos. So just be warned.
Yeah, if you like what you're hearing, you get more out of this experience by coming to our website.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, come check it out.
Here's some happy music.
Yeah, we'll close out on a palate cleanser. We love you guys. Thanks for coming back. And we'll see you next time on the Kooks, Cranks, and Iconoclast podcast. I'm Mike.
I'm Matt.
And I'm J-Lo.
Deuces.
See you next week.